Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 78 of the cast. Tonight on the cast, we've got Hoffman and Zaberwolf, and we're going to go over all of the news from the last 2 weeks because unfortunately we weren't live last week. So we've got She-Hulk episodes 6 and 7 to talk about. We got Rings of Power episode 5 and 6, House of the Dragon episode 5 and 6. And we've got the internet breaking news that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman posted this week is also, which was that Wolverine is going to be returning for Deadpool 3. So yeah, it's going to be a long one. So strap in. And without further ado, here's the guys.
Hey, what up, Fento? How you doing today, man?
Yo.
Guys.
What's up, guys? I am over the moon. Like, honestly, I know we got to talk about all the shows and stuff like that, but man, I could probably talk for an hour about Wolverine and about Deadpool and just how much of a fucking marketing genius Ryan Reynolds is. Like, seriously, it's mind blowing. It really is. Like, they broke the internet sitting on a couch in probably Ryan Reynolds' living room or something. Like, it's just insane. I'm so fucking happy, dude.
I don't
So
think
happy.
I've ever seen a tweet with like over 1.3 million likes and stuff. It's just crazy to see that. You're right. You completely shattered the internet with announcing that because it was everywhere just instantly.
Yeah, it really was. It was just, I just couldn't believe it because like I was like saw it pretty much as it happened, and like 3 hours in, it was over like 1 million views. It had like 500,000 retweets. Like it just blew up. Insane.
Yeah. And the reveal was so nonchalant. It's like, hey, you want to be Wolverine again?
Because as well, like Ryan does this sort of shit all the time. So like I thought to myself, is that just like a Hugh Jackman kind of lookalike that's kind of strolled by in the background? Because the first time I watched it was on my phone, so I couldn't really see it. And I was like, was that actually Ryan Reynolds? Because I was like, it sounded like him. Maybe he got him on the phone to just do like a voice bit or something. And then the next video came out the next day, and it's the two of them sitting on the couch together. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds has like the most like he's built his own like platform on social media where like he has a full team that just works on his social media posts in a way that I don't think any other actor does. Like he has this entire gimmick going on where he can announce stuff on his Twitter and it's bigger than putting it out on, Marvel's main social media page or Disney's or whatever it is. It's like his Twitter page is huge now because he does stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, and like even his YouTube channel is like he puts up these like little 1 minute like ads, and like he put one up like the other day, and like I hate ads. I can't stand ads at all. I hate like advertising. I just think it's so stupid and it's so frustrating and annoying. But like I enjoy watching his ads. Like that's how ridiculous it is. Like he put out an ad for he has like a mobile phone company, like a network or whatever. It's called Mint or something. And like he puts out an ad for Mint, and I'm just like laughing and loving it. Like I'm like, that's how powerful this guy is. Like with advertising, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
And he's been showing up so much lately. He's even showing up in movies. I'll have to talk about. Yeah, well, like I mean, as a cameo, actually. I know. I just thought. You know what I mean, like a cameo.
Yeah. I love that actually on his. I think he came up as a suggestion for me on LinkedIn, which I thought was hilarious. It's like suggestion Ryan Reynolds, and I clicked on his profile. It's like part-time actor. Love it, and it's actually true when you think about it because like he has so much shit going on. It's actually he's such a marvelous human, like because he's got like that new documentary series Wrexham. Like him and Rob Baccanelli bought a football club. I hate football, but I'm watching that show. Do you know what I mean? It's just wild. It's wild. And now he's got like a mobile phone like a mobile phone tariff company, and they're not they're doing advertising on the fact that they won't be doing like using inflation and stuff like that. It's like it's incredible. It's so intelligent. He's got his foot in everything.
Yeah. What do you think about Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine for I guess this is going to be the final time?
Well, the way I see it is like just how they addressed it in the second video, I thought was very clever. Like they're like, we're not going to touch Logan. Logan was actually perfection, and I just rewatched Logan like right before this podcast, and bro, like I knew the movie was amazing the first time I saw it. You know what I mean? I was nearly brought to tears. I was like, it's such an incredible movie. Patrick Stewart, how he didn't get an Oscar for that, I'll never know. It's insane. He's incredible. Hugh Jackman, it's a beautiful send off. And then the fact that Ryan Reynolds literally makes that statement almost straight away in that video to say that we will not be touching that movie. He dies in 2029. This takes place before that. I'm like, chef's kiss. Yes, here we go. Perfect. You know, and like I rewatched Days of Future Past last night as well. Like I'm just like I'm on a bit of a Hugh Jackman buzz right now. But man, like incredible. Like honestly, again, that movie is one of the best superhero movies we've ever gotten. It's 10 out of 10.
Bro, the amount of violence in that, like they did Wolverine in a way that I feel like we hadn't seen before. That was like the most comic book accurate Wolverine we've seen in terms of the way he's just eviscerating people and cutting limbs off and going right through people's faces. It was just so brutal became my favorite Wolverine movie where he's involved instantly. And I think I rewatched it like 6 months ago or something like that, and it blew me away, like right from the very beginning, from start to finish. Hugh Jackman really gave such a good performance and left Logan in such a good place. I remember talking about him coming back to play Wolverine in the MCU or in Deadpool. I mean, like, I don't know if I want that. Like, I don't know if I need to see Hugh Jackman again as Wolverine, because Logan was so fucking perfect that leaving that anywhere else is like, feels maybe not great.
Right. But
go on.
I mean, if you were to think of it in terms of like an alternate universe or somewhere like earlier in the timeline, I guess that's fine. I consider it like an alternate universe kind of situation. Just leave that as it is and just don't worry about it. Let this be like a new chapter. That way they can advance Wolverine even further along the line, and they don't mess things up as they go forward.
What about an incursion?
Sure, like all that works, and they're gonna have to do that, right? Like that's probably the best way to do it. But for me, it's like it was seeing Hugh Jackman play Wolverine again. Like that was the best to me he's ever played Wolverine is in Logan. And I don't know if I need to see another Hugh Jackman performance, because maybe it's not as good as Logan. Maybe he just leaves that character on a lesser performance that he did in that movie. That's where my hesitation is. When it comes to like putting him in the MCU and stuff, they're gonna have to do something, because like Deadpool is in its own little pocket universe of the MCU that hasn't been addressed yet. So that's gonna be crazy to see, and they're gonna do multiverse stuff with Deadpool. Like, he's gonna have to.
Of course.
Could Deadpool be 838?
Oh, could be, yeah.
And then there's an incursion which leads to the two of them surviving and going to 616. Like they're two of the only people that probably could survive something like that. And then there's been rumors for a long time that he was going to be involved in Secret Wars. He said no to Multiverse of Madness, but he said yeah to Secret Wars. So I think he's going to be in this movie, and then I think he's going to pop up in Secret Wars again. So I think we're going to get maybe 2 more movies with him.
Man,
like I've been watching interviews with him and like seeing videos of him like getting caught on the street and stuff, and he's like, people's like, oh, like who convinced you to come back? And he's like, no one convinced me to do anything. I'm coming back because I want to. Like, and it's like, yes, like I'm like, this is the right attitude. And like we've been saying this for years. Like the Ryan Reynolds Hugh Jackman thing has to happen. It has to happen at some point. So I'm so delighted that they're actually making it happen.
And they got to mend that whole like Weapon 11 thing with that old, what was it called? X-Men Origins Wolverine. When
they did that in the after credit scene of Deadpool 2.
Right, but I mean, like,
Wade travels back and just blows his head off.
Right. I mean, kind of get into it together and actually be Deadpool and Wolverine on scene as they should be.
Yeah. It's coming.
I kind of wish that we would have gotten Wolverine and Deadpool 2, because I don't know how violent they're going to be able to get now that they're under the Disney banner. If you go back and watch Deadpool 2, I am like shocked at how violent that movie is, how many body parts were flying. I just forgotten about it because I'm so used to like MCU violence, where it's like you see like not really anything. Like they're very clever about the way they do it. And then you go watch Deadpool and like, Cable's just like ripping people's heads off. Deadpool slicing people's heads and arms off and all that. And like, I wonder how close to the line they think can get with Disney. Cause I know they said they're going to be able to do rated R, but you can do a lot with rated R. But you can't do Deadpool 2 under the Disney banner. Like there's just no way.
Right.
I'm curious because like, aren't they putting like, I can watch Deadpool 2 on the Disney Plus app, like, and I can watch Logan on the Disney Plus app. I just did. So it's like the stuff's there. And like they've got Blade coming, they've got Punisher coming, Daredevil coming. I think they're slowly kind of creeping into the adult kind of content. And, on Werewolf by Night, I was watching like a featurette for that during the week as well. Again, it kind of looks it looks like it's not for kids, like it looks like it's scary, like, so I think they're really kind of trying to dip their toes into some other genres and really get out there. And I think they need to, like, like as amazing as like Disney is at putting out child content, they need to realize that there is a gigantic audience of people that are growing up with their content and want to grow up with the content. They can't just leave all these people behind, so it's the smart business decision to actually do this,
And and you're absolutely right, Finto. It's content there should be content for everyone, not content that is for everyone. You know what I mean? Like everybody should be able to get something out of Disney Plus. It can't just all be like kids safe. Yeah. And I totally agree. And I agree with you too, Hoffman, like all the blood and gore and everything that makes it so realistic. And in the comics, like I know they don't really show it like in the MCU right now, but I know that DC can be very like gross and crazy and like very violent, but DC gets extremely violent too. Like there are moments where like there's a scene where Sandman climbs into Peter's mouth and like pulls out his guts.
Dude.
There's a scene where like Thanos rips Tony Stark in half in the Iron Man suit and you see the blood splatter. Like it gets crazy. But like I understand why the MCU doesn't want to go crazy like that, because they were kid friendly from the beginning, but they got to branch out, man. Like I want to see some of that violence. I don't need it that crazy, but I need it.
Yeah,
like we need it, but they can still make millions of dollars and billions of dollars not doing it. You know what I mean? Like they'll take the safe route. Like
yeah, I know, but that's why they put the passwords on the app. Like Yeah. If you want an adult account on Disney Plus, you put a pin on it and you don't tell your kids the pin, and they can't watch it. Simple as that. Right.
Look, man, I was watching, those late night skin movies on Showtime when I was 13. Okay, bro, nothing could stop a kid. Nothing can stop us. All right.
Good. And that's the way it should. That's the way it should be, though, bro. That's the way it should be. You should be able to like. You should be able to like experience adulthood if you work hard enough for it.
Right. Were you actually one of those kids growing up that actually found like one of those buzzing like TV spots?
Oh, I thought I was trying to look at it. Man.
No. Those late night shows that you couldn't access because they didn't pay for it.
Yeah, where you had to like you put the antenna just the right way and like keep the knob a little bit half turned, and you can. Oh yeah, man.
You can sort of see it.
Yeah. Over here, it's like kind of like Euro trash, kind of like porn that used to be on at like 3 a.m. in the morning. And like everyone would like, all the kids would be like up at 3 a.m. and they'd have the TV muted and everything, just watching the late night shit while their parents are sleeping. that's how we all grew up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny shit, dude. It's funny.
But I would have to say that my favorite part in Deadpool 2 was like literally that moment when Juggernaut's like, I'm gonna pull you apart now.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to pull apart. Like it's just so good, bro.
All right.
But like, I don't know. I'm very excited for all this news. Also, just before we kind of dip into all of the reviews from the last 2 weeks, because again, as I say, we weren't live last week, so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. But did you see the news about the Blade movie? Did you see what's happening with Blade?
No.
Okay, so basically what's happening with Blade is they've decided to, I believe the director walked off the movie, and Mahershala Ali is very kind of displeased, it might be the right word to say, with how the production's going. The script apparently looks like shit, and he's very kind of disheartened because Kevin Feige's not really involved in the movie at all. And, so many people are kind of like saying, well, yeah, look, it's very obvious. And we've been talking about it for months that, Feige has to be getting spread too thin. Like there's too much going on. Like there's no way you can give the love, care, and dedication to projects like he probably did during phases 1, 2, and 3. So apparently what they're doing now is they've got a new script writer in who was working on Moon Knight and a few other projects. And there's a rumor that Sam Raimi could potentially be stepping in to direct.
I'm so down for that, dude. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali, very annoyed, frustrated, because one of his big things is this thing was announced back in 2019, man. Like 2019. And I know we had the pandemic, so that's like plus 2 years on everything. But they still have put out like other stuff like Moon Knight, which was like announced afterwards. This is a 2019 announcement, and this movie's not coming out until 2024. The script was like a 90-minute script, and it had like 2 quote lackluster fight scenes in it.
Yeah.
Like it's very frustrating. Not only for I'm sure Marshawn Lee, but like also myself, because I am, like you guys, a child of the 2000s who love the Blade movies.
Hell yeah.
Some of the best comic book movie stuff, they're of their time, but they still kind of hold up if you like put the techno soundtrack to the side. They still are like very fun to watch.
I love the techno
love that?
soundtrack.
Oh,
Bring it on, bro. It's
so
amazing. No, it's
Uh,
amazing, dude. It's amazing. That bloodbath scene at the start of the first movie, that song will forever be stuck in my head because of that film.
So
You gotta-
they gotta get together, bro. It's Blade. It's Blade. He should be the next big pillar of the MCU.
we have Blade to thank for the entire MCU. If Blade 2, and we've talked about this before, if Blade 2 didn't pull in like 130 million in the box office, the MCU were done. They were dead. So, they should, as you say, yeah, this should be a pillar in the MCU. And I think that's what they're trying to do, but I think they now have realized Feige's kicking it back into gear. I think he's realizing, okay, shit, I need to start kind of spreading myself out a bit more if I can.
There needs to be like another Feige built up. And I don't know if there is someone on the inside who is like that. We just don't know about them. But there needs to be like a Feige Jr. who kind of the same way we see Dave Filoni and John Favreau.
Yeah.
Like we need another, type of duo like that. We're like, all right, well, Feige's not in on this, but such and such is in here doing a great job, loves the comics, knows the MCU world, knows the Marvel world, and can step up and make a good movie. Because if Feige is dead set on growing the MCU this large and being this all encompassing, there needs to be another huge character within the Marvel CEO level stuff who can, really tighten it down and make good products, because he's the only one. He's like everything that doesn't really feel like Feige was involved in just sucks.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, it kind of makes me think, like, does he not spread his knowledge? Does he kind of keep it to himself for the most part? Is he just keeping, like, is he just trying to hold everything on the weight of his own shoulders and not give anyone a chance to even like put their 2 cents in? Like, because that seems like a bad thing. Like, with the whole George Lucas thing, once George Lucas left, things kind of took a turn, and it just felt like Star Wars is kind of losing its edge over time, because we don't have the original creator, the original mindset of it, working on it, or even giving his 2 cents on it. And if he were to pass on the knowledge and give, and like at least a little bit here and there, that way they can work on little parts here and there, he won't spread out too thin, and we'll get the same quality that we do with Feige.
I don't want to get roped down and talk about George Lucas, but George did try. He gave them the scripts for 7, 8, 9, and they basically said, "Fuck you, George. We're going to do our own thing."
Like, hey, George, we just spent $10 billion. How about you just go back over to Chicago, wherever the fuck you are? Like, dude.
Yeah, they literally took his scripts for 7, 8, 9 and put them in a drawer and was like, "Oh, thanks, man. Enjoy your retirement."
That's that's horrible.
Tough. It's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's kick into some content. I think She-Hulk is probably going to be the shortest thing that we could talk about, so let's just like get it out of the way. So I don't know. I presume, are you guys all up to date on all the shows?
On everything, baby.
Good.
Yeah,
good,
I'm all caught up.
So like, we didn't talk about She-Hulk last week, so we have episode 6 and 7 to basically review, and for me, they're the worst episodes of the season so far. And again, we sit here all the time and we're kind of like mind blown that in a series, and like Disney are doing this across the board, but in all these series that are so short, why are they doing like filler bullshit episodes? And I understand they probably did the wedding episode. So episode 6, I think they did that as a meme, to try and be funny, to kind of be like, we know everyone in the world is waiting for Daredevil after you saw his helmet in episode 5. But it's like, we're going to do a wedding episode, and it's kind of like tongue in cheek and, haha, we got you. But this week's episode was just like the same thing again. Nothing incredible happened. There was a couple of funny bits, and, it's the last 2 minutes of the episode seemed to kind of finally advance the story. But again, now there's only 3 episodes left? Two episodes left, 8 and 9. So,
there's like 15 minutes left. That's it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
There's about 30 minutes of content left. Like, no joke. Like, maybe 40, 45 at best. And they got to wrap up stuff. They got to do they got to do some fucking Daredevil, and the whole leader stuff has got to be unveiled and everything like that. It's kind of crazy. Like again, they just wasted 2 episodes of the show having fun. It
The
blows
thing
my
that's
mind.
it's frustrating because like you can do these fun episodes, but like there's like no fucking plot to this entire show. The biggest thing that we've gotten plot wise is literally a Hulk like having a spaceship come down and take him away. That's the only thing that's like a mysterious driving narrative that's ever been in the show. Because they just have like these guys pop up who are like attack her, and then they don't talk about it for like 4 fucking episodes.
Bro,
like nothing came of that for so long.
In the latest episode, she's sitting beside one of the guys that tried to take her blood, and she doesn't even ask the question: "Who hired you? Who sent you? What the hell is going on? Why did you do that to me?" Do you know what I mean? I was like, she's sitting beside the dude, and they're just having a conversation. It's like you're literally talking to one of the guys who jumped you on the street. He's right there. Why are you not asking him who the fuck sent you?
Yeah,
and then it's like, even like I don't understand as well, like how she knows that she's vulnerable when she's Jen, and someone has tried to steal her blood. Why is she not She-Hulk all the time? I don't understand. Make yourself immune to being hurt or having your blood stolen. And the second the fucking episode started, the second I saw her like going on dates as Jen and getting comfortable with this dude, I was like, that guy's definitely gonna rob her blood. It's so obvious. Like, you know, there was no surprise whatsoever at the end. I was just kind of like, I thought it was so obvious that when it got to the reveal at the end, I was like, oh my God, they're actually revealing this. I thought it was just a given, you know? It's insane, dude. It's insane.
This show like went from, you know, kind of a, I don't know what they're doing, but whatever, I'll keep watching it, to like, it's just garbage now. Like, it just sucks. I've said this before. It just feels like an ABC show from like 10 years ago that I never wanted to watch in the first place. And I know the MCU is like, oh, well, not everything's going to be for everybody. Well, who's it fucking for then? Because this is just terrible fucking TV. There's no reason to be watching this. They've barely given you any plot or story. The only thing that's redeeming about it is the main actress. Like, she's actually fun to watch. Like, she is a compelling person on screen. The way she plays Jen Walters is like, I want to watch more of it. I think she's really fun. Other than that, like, this show is like, what's the point of it? What's the reason for this show? There's like no reason.
This is by far the worst script I have ever seen, representing a character that should be bringing up the Hulk franchise to its like natural state. And it's not. It's getting nowhere. And it's just like you said, Hoffman. This show. Who is this show for? You know, originally it sounded like she was an independent woman. Now it sounds like she needs a man. Now it sounds like, you know, she needs to work on therapy because she seems to have anger issues. But earlier she said she didn't have anger issues. So what is the deal? What is going on here? Like, what are they trying to do? And they have, and if it's true that the story writers, I'm rambling, like I'm going crazy now. If it's true that the story writers don't know how to write a courtroom scene, why the hell are they writing this damn story? We need Jen as an attorney. It's attorney at law.
It's a courtroom show. Get courtroom writers. Go hire the guys who wrote Daredevil season 1. Like, they did courtroom scenes incredible in that season. Like, mind-blowing stuff. You're sitting watching like Matt Murdock and Foggy giving their speeches and stuff, and like the fucking Frank Castle case in season 2. Like, just get the people who wrote that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they did it perfectly. And there's people who are on all these like you know, Law and Order shows and all this stuff. I'm sure you can get them into the MCU, like, no problem.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that they haven't been able to have a ongoing trial throughout this whole show that like kind of builds the story around and like kind of acts as a plot point to, you know, have her be the Hulk and like go find stuff and solve stuff as the Hulk to help out that case or whatever. Like, it feels like a shoe-in. You know, courtroom dramas are easy for TV. This is She-Hulk. You know, it should be fun action, and like there's just nothing going on. And I think that this just proves the point that, as much as Alex don't want to admit it, this is why you can't give a Hulk the lead in anything. They never know what to do with the Hulk, no matter what it is. I'm starting to believe you now, because this is getting really annoying, because it's getting to a, like, you literally have the literal perfect Hulk. Like, She-Hulk is literally the perfect Hulk because she can control it. So why don't you utilize that? Why don't you make that a thing? Like, why do you have to keep swapping back and forth between Jen and She-Hulk? Like, I get that she cares about herself as Jen, but like, she really liked herself as She-Hulk. Like, it keeps flip-flopping, man. Like, it keeps going back and forth. She liked being She-Hulk after a while. She was against it. Now she likes it. Now she doesn't like it because she thinks it's like all she can be now. And it's like, it's your persona. It's exactly what Bruce told you. Like,
embrace it, go with it. That's exactly what happens in the comics. She loves it after a while because she knows she can get whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Like, if I was a Hulk, I would never be me. Like, I would always be the Hulk. Like, it's just so much cooler.
Form.
Yeah,
it's your perfect form.
Yeah,
and you're the most
absolutely.
impervious, and like, and it's just, yes, that's fine if she changes back while she's asleep. Like, she can't control it. Nobody can control what they do when they sleep. So like, I get that, but like in terms
I
of
hallucinate, so sure.
I'm glad I don't sleepwalk, man. All I do is gnash my teeth.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is literally episode 6 and 6.5. This should have been one episode. These two episodes that came up should have been one 40 to 50 minute episode, not even with all that content. They should have spliced it in half. They should have cut the wedding scenes in half. They should have had Josh had those quick scenes, maybe at a date, or even have it like Katie and I went through this. We were thinking Josh also, not even an 80s montage, a one night stand.
Yeah.
Why can't you do that? Just do the one night stand. She wakes up, he's not there. It's like, okay, I guess that's nothing. That way it doesn't turn into this like weird, like I need a boy. I'm in a relationship.
Checking her phone. It was actually pathetic what she was doing. Like, she was checking her phone every 2 seconds and all. I'm just like, ugh. This isn't a good look at all.
They address it in the episode, which is like, why do you guys keep trying to make this an obvious show about obvious things that I obviously don't care about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of rough. Like, and I think like, what's going to happen now in the last 2 episodes? Like, I thought there was going to be a bit of a kind of natural story developing as to why Daredevil would be there. Now it just seems as if he's going to just randomly show up for no reason at all. It's kind of just ridiculous. Like, and like I don't know who put it up, like one of these Marvel pages on Twitter. It's like, confirm Matt Murdock's going to be in the last 3 episodes. And I'm watching episode 7 going, here we go. And it's like, no, he's not here at all. Like, I was like, fuck you. Like,
I'm just going to reiterate this. Just so before these episodes, about a handful of podcasts ago, when we were talking about Daredevil coming in this, I was like, well, everyone, like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
so be careful what you wish for, Pinto, because they might really mess up Daredevil in the show, and you might not enjoy it as much as you want to. And
I don't mind seeing a kind of lighter kind of comedy side of Matt anyway. If it's just a little one take, like, it doesn't really bother me.
You're such a simp.
No, seriously, it doesn't. Like, I understand. Like, he's on his holidays. He's over in the sun. Like, it's not really him. He's not in Hell's Kitchen. Like,
Look, if you want Matt Murdock to spit in your mouth, just say it, okay? We accept you here.
But no, seriously though, like, I can kind of understand that, but it's just the way I thought it would have been. The two of them meeting in court or something like that, and then it's like, then he presents himself to her as Daredevil, and it would have just made a lot more sense. Now it just kind of seems like he's just going to randomly like fucking front flip onto a rooftop and it'd be like, hello there, like, it's going to be like literally no sense to it whatsoever. So I don't know, we'll see.
And I know you guys were talking about like these cameos that were going on, and I like these little cameos. They happen in the comics all the time. In the most recent Moon Knight, we have 8-Ball show up out of nowhere, and Moon Knight just beats him down. It's like he was a weakling. We have like Man-Bull, we have Sarkin, we have Porcupine, we've got El Aguila, and funny characters. Not done the way that they were in the comics. They're not that stupid. They're like, their characters, like Man-Bull worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. like in the comics. Like, what are you doing?
Oh man, yeah, I don't know.
But like, I'm still excited. I'm still hopeful that that Frogman actually is kind of funny and cool at the same time. Like, have one of those moments, because we need like a street level villain that pops in that actually can make things a little interesting.
Yeah,
not these weird ass like, oh, we're here because we're angry people. Like, it's just it's the worst situation. And I gotta say, I know I'm rambling, but like when it comes to Mr. Immortal, like that dude, I know most people don't know about him, and that's why they made him an old man. Mr. Immortal stopped aging at fucking 21 or 18. I can't remember. That dude is immortal because he lives until the end of time. He's a
mutant, right?
He is a mutant.
Yeah.
And they ruined him.
Yeah.
He's not the coolest, but they ruined him. Like,
he's such an ageist, bro.
He's just going through a bunch of divorces, and they're all like, "Fuck this guy, he's an asshole."
Dude, that dude created the GLA, which is the Great Lakes Avengers.
Oh my god!
It's
That's so
fucking
good,
like
dude.
it's silly, but it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I don't know. Like I've kind of like again, I'm gonna watch the last 2 episodes. I pray that they're good. I think I'll definitely enjoy. If there is only 1 episode with Daredevil, I'll enjoy it. We gotta, and then maybe there'll be an episode with Frogman and the Leader as well, or something like that. But I think I'll enjoy the last 2. But I'm sitting back watching this stuff, and I'm clapping, and I'm like, how she got $15 million for this, I'll never know. She just absolutely played the game. She probably, like, if they do a season 2, she'll probably get paid 0. They're like,
She
you owe
got
us
15 million for this?
Yes. They'll be like, you owe us money. Do you know what I mean?
Holy moly.
Bro, she's made more money than Tom Holland's made as Spider-Man, like in his wages. Do you know what I
He
mean?
needs
Like,
a better agent.
well, yeah, don't be doing
Jesus.
deals when you're 15 years old, like, but
Yeah.
Jesus, bro, like it's crazy. It's crazy. Speaking of
Tatiana's
Tom
cool,
Holland,
though.
apparently there's a rumor Tom Holland's going to be in there in Deadpool 3 as well. A little cameo of Tom Holland.
For like 1 minute.
That'd be fun.
It'd be epic. Be
It
epic.
would.
Again, it's one of those things. It's like Spidey and Wolverine on the screen together. Spidey and Daredevil. Or Spidey and fucking Deadpool, sorry.
There you go.
Daredevil
Again.
as well. No, Daredevil as well. That's coming too, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say
Tom
Ryan
Holland's about
Reynolds
to-
can get anyone to do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh man, what do we think of Armor Wars as well becoming a movie instead of a TV series?
It's
gonna be
so
great.
good.
Do you think that do you think that they approached like Robert Downey Jr. to do something like maybe be an AI or something like that, like lend his voice to being like the next Jarvis, and he went like, fuck you, I'm not coming back for anything that isn't a movie, and they're like, well,
That's an interesting thought.
We could change a few things here. We could turn it into a movie. And
Yeah,
then
very
guys like, yeah, I'm in.
very interesting thought. I'm down for it because Armor Wars is like I love War Machine. He's one of my favorite characters in the comic books and stuff. I'm a huge fan from a very young age. I was always a fan of him over Iron Man just because he had that huge Gatling gun. And I was a little like 13-year-old, like, oh my god, I'm an American. Give me the Gatling gun. So I'm glad they're giving it a movie status, and they're going to be able to spend the budget on it. And maybe they just looked at it like, hey, this is not an interesting 7-episode show, but this is a really good 2 hours. So let's just bump up the budget and put in the schedule because we got all these slots that we got to fill.
Yeah.
And we don't know what to do.
Well, like if you think about like what we've seen so far, like the movies have been pretty successful and the shows haven't. So it's like, we're getting Don Cheadle in. This story's gonna like link in with like Secret Invasion. So it's like, let's make it a movie, like, and maybe it is like something like, they want to get RDJ back, and he's like, I'm not coming back for TV. Like, I'll come back for a movie, and that would make a lot of sense. Or maybe if they even do some like flashbacks or something like that, And then I've heard like rumors as well of John Bernthal's Punisher being in Armor Wars. Like that'd be crazy. Imagine getting Punisher on the big screen.
Oh, dude.
Boom.
Imagine giving Punisher the War Machine suit for a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he gets it. He's one of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Isn't the plot of the show that somebody like steals the tech or something and he has to get it back? Imagine it was Punisher that came in and took the tech. Bro. Yeah, it'd be fucking crazy. I would love it.
If that happens, Hoffman, can we get some castles?
Oh my god. No. My throat.
His throat can't take it.
Yeah. I'm like a 6-year-old porn star, man. All right. The throat is retired.
Jesus Christ.
What? That's a decent joke. Get out of here.
Yes, I love it. I love it. 10 out of 10. Do we have any other Marvel news, or should we move on to something else?
Yeah, actually, I found something that says that Tena Guerra has revealed that Namor will not be the villain of Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, but
what?
People don't think that Brie Olsen was the villain in WandaVision. She totally was. All right. So I don't want to hear what this guy has to say.
You mean Miss Marvel?
Yeah. No. What did I say? Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh yeah. She's
Scarlet
like
Witch.
wasn't the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, for Multiverse of Madness, yeah.
Yeah.
No, in WandaVision. He was the villain there, and everyone's like, she's not the villain.
She was. She was. She captured a whole town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kept them manipulated for months. Like, yeah, no, she definitely was the villain.
They'll never know what you gave up. Fucking psychos, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's I think like Feige's starting to kind of maybe make a couple of right moves that I think are going to benefit. I think they've really kind of looked at what's happened in the last kind of 2 years with all this content and kind of gone, maybe we need to move away from the Disney Plus shows a little bit. Maybe we need to, change Armor Wars into a movie, and we got to focus on Blade. We got to do this and that. And let's bring back Wolverine. Let's let Ryan Reynolds do whatever he wants because he's a fucking genius. And I think that it's going to all work out really well for them,
Mm-hmm.
Did I see something about Moon Knight 2 getting announced or something? Maybe I don't know if it was like officially announced, but I think it's rumored to be signed on for a second season, which makes sense, I suppose, with how the first one ended.
I would like to see Moon Knight on the big screen before I'd rather see him in a TV show again. I think it's 100% right that like the Disney Plus shows just like aren't it, and the movies are better. I'd rather see them double the movies that come out every year than watch an extra, Disney Plus show, because they just don't have the budget to make the MCU seem magical. And the thing is, like, anytime an MCU movie would come out, there was something like kind of special about it. It was an event, like this movie's out, and now because it's so saturated, She-Hulk comes on, I'm like, whatever, I'll catch it in like 5 or 6 days, whatever. And I used to be an MCU junkie, and now I'm just not, like, because they've given us so much of it so rapidly, and the quality has not matched that pace. I just don't care. I'm like, what? Nothing matters anymore. Like, when Thor came out, that's the first MCU movie I haven't gone back and watched in the theater in a long time.
I saw a comparison during the week that actually made me cry laughing. I couldn't believe it. Like, but Taika Waititi has spent years slagging the Green Lantern movie, and then he goes and makes a movie that's actually like the CGI looked worse than Green Lantern.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy when you think about it. Like, they spent years like just throwing shade on the Green Lantern film, and he went and made a movie that looks worse.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
It's fucking nuts, dude.
And did you see that little tidbit on Thor Love and Thunder where like he comes in as like a projection, but the kids are touching him before he leaves?
No, I didn't see
like
that.
When they're in the cage, like being imprisoned, he comes in as an apparition, tells them like everything's gonna be okay. Yeah. And then right as he's about to leave, all the kids crowd him, and you see one of them touching his arm.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's just lazy, bro. Yeah, that's just nuts. It's just nuts. That movie is just, it was such a fail. Such a fail.
Did you see the deleted scene between like Thor and Zeus?
Don't think so.
Like, oh my God. It was like, honestly, if they had that scene in there and they cut out all of that, like, God's thing situation and just had like him and Zeus talking, the movie would have been 10 times better, because the whole, like, it was fluid. It felt nice. Like, he's like, why can't you come with me? He's like, just take my bolt. The bolt will lead you to where you need to go. And he's like, why can't you come with me? He's like, I'm Zeus. Like, I'm not I'm the god of all the other gods. Like, I'm supposed to just be here and just be myself. And it's not silly in the, like, at all until the very end of it, which is nice. It's very serious, and then it's solid.
I saw pictures of Gore, like taking all the scars off his face and stuff. And like, I'm like, that's a scene that they definitely should have put in there as well, like him just kind of like scrubbing off who he used to be and like turning himself into the butcher, like, and just stuff like that they should have kept in the movie. And all these scenes that he said that he shot that were amazing that they took out and stuff. It's just, I think they had a really good movie there, but I think they just, for some reason, had to shave it down. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why they're, Marvel has a thing where it's like, feels like they're trying to keep everything under 2 hours for a specific reason. And I think that's a mistake. I don't think they need to. But fucking Thor Love and Thunder was so bad. You bring up Russell Crowe and this like great scene they deleted, as much as he was goofy with Zeus, the post-credit scene where he is like the serious Russell Crowe, like he brings it as Russell Crowe, like once again. And I hope that we get more of that in the future from Zeus, because I think it's fun what he did. But I like to see Russell Crowe intimidating as a godly figure. He's fucking Russell Crowe, man. Like, it's amazing what he can do.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they still, like, even if they had changed it up and put that deleted scene in, they could have done that after credits, but in a more lighthearted way, in the sense that like Russell Crowe can tell him like, he's a very strong opponent. Like, are you sure you want to go against him? And he's like, yeah. And of course he sees Hercules, and it's like, that would have been cool too. Because like I said, that deleted scene made it more on the lines of like Thor and Zeus were on the level. Like they weren't angry or upset with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Moving on. I'll let you guys pick what the next topic is, because we have to still talk about Rings of Power. We got to talk about House of the Dragon, and we got to talk about Andor as well. There's 4 episodes of Andor that we haven't even touched on. There's a lot of stuff to go through because
let's go.
Again, we weren't here last week. Okay. Lord of the Rings.
Get the worst out of the way right at the beginning of the cast. Dude, yesterday I watched the original Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings extended version. 4-hour movie. Held me the whole time. Gripping. Couldn't peel away from it, man. I put on the latest episode of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power after that, and I swear to God, I was asleep in 10 minutes. Like, I was down. I don't know what the fuck it is about this show, but it puts me to sleep. It's so boring in a way that it doesn't feel like the Lord of the Rings movies move any slower than this show does. But there's something about these characters. They're not dynamic. I don't care about them. They're so dull and plain that I'm fascinated that I do not like this show, but it looks amazing. Like the CGI on screen looks beautiful. It's one of the best fantasy shows I've ever seen. And I am so out of my mind bored when I'm watching it. I don't know what they did. Like, how did they do this?
Bro, I actually fell asleep twice watching episode 5.
Yes.
I watched it straight after work. And I was just so tired. I was wiped out, and I threw it on, and I fell asleep. My girlfriend had to nudge me and wake me up twice during episode 5. But I will say I did like episode 6. I thought episode 6 was cool. I thought that, them coming in and thinking that they had the one up on the orcs, and that the orcs sent all the humans in to die. I was like, oh God, they've got the one up now. Like, I thought it was really cool. Good scenes. The whole shit with the sword and all was cool. Like, I thought this week's episode was definitely the best out of the bunch. But again, it still seems like it's missing something. I think it is slowly building to something bigger and better, but at the same time, it's just taking too long to get there. Yeah, these are like packed 1-hour episodes. Like, this isn't like this isn't like a 40-minute video and 7 minutes of it are credits at the end. Like, this is like a proper hour,
They never end, bro. The show never ends when you're watching it.
Yeah.
Fades to black 20 times before you credits.
Yeah. But, I think this episode was good, and hopefully they can kind of build on the momentum of what they did in this episode, because like, I love Lord of the Rings, and what's crazy is this show is getting more viewers than House of the Dragon. How crazy is that? Like, they're pulling in more streaming numbers than House of the Dragon. And House of the Dragon is 10 times better. 10 times better. Like, story-wise and everything else. But this show's pulling in more viewers. And I don't know if it's because Lord of the Rings is more of a family-friendly kind of brand, and I don't know.
I would say that we can kind of remember what Hoffman said in the past, was that people were starving for Lord of the Rings. Like, they love Lord of the Rings. It comes to their heart. The moment they hear it, they're like, oh man, I remember this scene here from this movie, from that movie. Like, you could ask them like what happens in Return of the King and Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers. They can tell you their favorite scene, their least favorite scene. Like, people who love it, they will die for it. And for us to like, it sucks that for us, we see it as not that very good, and it kind of makes me sad, because like, I love like old fantasy. Like, I love this like old world fantasy, and it's just kind of not hitting all the bells. Like, it's the fight scenes are great. Fight scenes are fantastic. I think that they do a really good choreography for the fight scenes. I think the orcs look fantastic. But I just don't care about anything except for Elrond and Durin. Like, I love that story. That story was so heartfelt because of all the things. That was to me, that's the most Lord of the Rings, because it's like, shit's getting corrupted. The elves are in danger. We need the help of the dwarves to get this mithril so that we can heal the tree, so that we don't lose our immortality. Mm-hmm. That's the most Lord of the Rings that I would take from it.
Yeah, especially Durin. His character and his family are like pretty much the most interesting characters in the whole show. But I think all the other characters in the show, they just whatever it is that writers do that make you fall in love with characters and care about them, they just have not done that. There is no character in the show that I really care deeply about. outside of like the dwarven characters. And maybe the elf who's like the main elf we follow in the town, like the one who's marrying the woman or whatever, making out with her finally.
Oh, yeah.
I forget his name, but like he's kind of got a compelling story. But like I think Elrond's story is super boring. I think Galadriel's story is super boring. The humans and Numenor, their story was boring. Like I just don't get how I have not connected with any of these characters when they should all be great. These are legendary characters in Lord of the Rings, and it's like all they're like is hey, here's Galadriel, care about her, and like I really don't. It's just I've only had a ton of exposition about Galadriel. Same with Elrond. It's like, hey, you guys remember Elrond from the movie? Yeah, we casted SpongeBob to play him in this. You should care about him. Like I just I don't understand. I just don't get it, man.
I think Galadriel started off really well. Like she was a beast in episode 1, and you know her story in the first few episodes was really good, and then they kind of just backed off her. Like it's like she shows up on the boat with cool armor on, and you're like, okay, here we go. And then it's like, yeah, okay, she's not doing anything. You know, although I did like the horse chase scene where she was going after your man with who was supposed to have the sword, but he obviously passed it on. That was cool. And when she was like kind of like doing the flips to avoid getting hit and stuff, and she was like lying on the side of the horse and all. I thought that was like sweet, man.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Sweet. It was sweet. But again, yeah, it's not enough. You know, we need more. And I think like you know when you're watching these movies, you spend a proper 40 minutes like focusing on the hobbits, and you get to know Frodo and Sam and all these people, and then it's like, okay, now here's the elves, and like again you're on the elves for like a half an hour, and you're properly like, kind of getting introduced to all these characters. Whereas this is just kind of telling story, but not really focusing as much on the character development. And I think that's the part that we're missing. You know, like I saw a picture, and again, I think maybe part of the reason why I'm not liking it as much is just because I'm not a mad like sweaty for Lord of the Rings like fandom and like history. Like I saw someone put up a picture of like in I think it's in Fellowship of the Ring, like you know where they get the ghost army to come and help them or whatever. Like the leader of the ghost army is like meant to be that dude who's like the abandoned king or whatever.
I think it's Twin Towers, right?
I think that's Return of the King.
I think it's you might be right. I don't know, whichever one it is. I think
it's the Battle's Helm's Deep is when he gets the kings, right?
It's like near the end, right?
Yeah.
But like I saw someone put up a comparison picture and like their armor matched and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh shit, maybe this is him. Like, and I think if I was a sweaty and realized that, I might be enjoying what they're talking about more and stuff. But for me, I'm just kind of, I think a lot of it's going over my head, you know, because I don't know the history.
Well, yeah. Like the characters they have, like Isildur and what's his face, like the dad who's like the captain of the ship and his son. Those are legendary characters in Lord of the Rings. Like his son in that,
the one who chops Sauron's
his finger off. Yeah. And Sauron killed the dad. Like it's great stuff, man. But it's just like that's why they want you to care about him. Like, hey, this is Isildur. Care about him. And you're like, okay. Give me more of a reason to.
I think it would be clever for them to maybe reuse some of the footage from like the start of the Fellowship where they're actually, you know, telling the story, just to kind of link it for some people that don't understand. Because like, you know, I thought that the dude, like the human king that we were following, I thought he was the one that chopped Sauron's hand off, and my girlfriend's like, no, it's actually this dude here. And I was like, how's he gonna fucking do it? Like he's like such a little pussy, like, you know, like I don't know, like, so, you know, it's just me not knowing, and I think it just kind of defeats it a bit for me.
But like it should be a good enough show that if you don't know any of that, you should be still pulled in by the character. You know,
and that's what I
like,
mean. That's what I mean. Show us a flash to the original like clip, and then you kind of put it together. Like even like with like Elrond, like I think a lot of people don't know that that's Hugo Weaving's character in the original movies. Like, so
horrible
again,
casting, bro.
But when we first meet him, give us a little flash of Hugo, you know, and then, you know, when Galadriel comes in, like give us a quick flash of like what was her name, who played Hela? She was her in the original movies. Like, so, you know, I connect
Charlize Theron?
No,
that's
not her. I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah, no, she
kind of looks like her sometimes.
She's a big actress anyway. I just can't think of her name right now. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, why don't they put little flashes to connect it for people who don't really know? Because like they do that all the time on TV, and like a lot of the time I find it kind of, when I know a lot about a subject, I'm kind of like, oh Jesus, why are they putting that in there? Like, but now this is the time where I need it and we're not getting it.
Right. You know what I think really hurts this show is the fact that like when we watch those Lord of the Rings movies, it was set in a time where CG wasn't really like that big of a thing. Like it was useful, but like the fact that they used nothing but props, the fact that they had like did everything kind of like realistically, it made things much more like lively for the world. And then in, in addition to that, like because you had such seasoned actors and actresses, they knew to keep their face like very stone faced, because that's, you know, that's how the elves are. They don't really show much emotion. And that's the problem with this like early game, is that everyone is so enthusiastic for no reason. This should be a very serious situation.
Yeah, the elves in this show just do not feel like elves whatsoever. They just feel like humans with pointy ears. Like to the Lord, to the Amazon, an elf is just, you know, someone with a pointy ear, and that's it. That's all we gotta do. When in reality, they're a whole different culture that acts totally different, carries himself different, thinks about the world different, and you do not get that sense of that from Gladriel and Elrond in this, and the King. It's just all not only horrible casting, but horrible writing about how the elves are in Tolkien's universe. Like it's rough, man.
Right, and that's why like that's why Hoffman, you were saying that the dwarves were pretty good, because like that's how dwarves act.
Yeah,
they could be silly, they could be serious. They make you swear on things that like sound weird to us but matter to them. You know, dwarves don't forget, and like they make it apparent. You know, and it's fun. Like that's fun. That's a good show of character for the dwarves. And I totally agree. When you remember Elrond in the movies, like with Hugo Weaving.
mm-hmm.
It's all I remember is just the face as stone as possible, as serious, not wanting to bend any will towards like the humans or you know, for anybody, because he wants to protect his people. And I get that Elrond is not there yet. He's not like the leader yet, but like he's still that character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the ratings here for the show so far, and like it's been like 7.3, 7.3, 7.2, 7.1. So like, you know, kind of mid to low sevens. And then episode 5 was 6.8, but this episode was an 8.5. So they've got 2 episodes left in the first season. So hopefully they can kind of beef it up. Like I think they really, really need to end the show on a big high. Big high.
Yeah.
We need a big battle scene.
Yeah, something massive needs to happen. Yeah, big time. And I think the season will probably end with like Sauron returning or getting resurrected or wherever he is or whatever he's doing. We'll get him back. I think
finding out who the stranger is.
Yeah.
They just leave that one in the dust. It's like every other episode they bring like, oh yeah, you remember this dude who kind of looks like Gandalf and tries Sauron? Like, just don't forget about him with these weird hobbit people.
And like I'm like I don't like the Hobbit story, but they like we haven't seen them at all in 2 episodes, so I'm kind of like, oh shit, we're definitely getting a full episode about them now before it's over. Instead of drip feed us the story, they kind of just backed off, and I was like, yes, I don't like it, so this is great. But now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pay for that now.
Am I misremembering this, or did they destroy that village at the very end of this episode? Right, like the village they were defending got wrecked.
Yeah, they
believe
like
so, yes.
Didn't he tip over the tower to like blow them all up or whatever? Or
yeah, and like Mount Doom did volcanoes, and like, so we just watched this whole fucking episode of these people defending this town for nothing. It's so frustrating, man. This episode didn't even need to happen.
The sword, you know, when he hits the sword and at the very end and like floods the place, is that like that's Mount Doom, right? Like that's like or whatever it's called. That's where like Frodo goes to throw the ring in. That's it being created, right?
Yeah, that's where the ring is created from, is Mount Doom. I don't think it's the ring's being created right now, because this timeline is so out of whack. Like they've really bent the timeline here on this deal. Like the humans, the Isildur, like the king and stuff, like they're not even supposed to be born yet for another couple thousand years.
Yeah, this is very strange. Like I'm not that great on the lore itself, but like even I feel like this is very odd. Mm-hmm. Like it just feels so weird.
Maybe they're maybe they are building the show in a way that they're on purpose not letting you get too attached to characters, because they're going to do a massive time jump and the only people that are going to be alive are the elves. You know, like that seems to make sense, because if they like, I presume they have to tie up the timeline. I presume it has to make sense, like, you know.
Right. I don't know, man, because the very beginning of Lord of the Rings, when they kill Sauron, that's like 3,000 years before Frodo's time. And so then you have this show, which is like another couple thousand years before that. So I'm just like, what the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah, it's kind of it's all over the place.
Well, like But that's the thing is like you have to care about these characters even if there's a time skip. Because do you know who does that better? House of the Dragon.
But again, 10 years is one thing, but if this is thousands of years, you can't really be attached to anybody because none of them are going to be around except for the elves.
I know, but it's like 200 years for House of the Dragon at the least. That's still a long time.
Huge.
Oh, you mean like to the original Lord of the Rings story? Or sorry, to the original Game of Thrones series? Like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's 200 years before Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like, it's I like what House of the Dragon are doing. But
House of the Dragon is such a great show. The fact that they barely have action in any of these episodes, but I can't pull away from it, is just a testament to how good that writing is.
Exactly.
Because, like, I've talked about how in the MCU, like especially shows like Loki, I'm like, all they're doing is talking, bro. Like they're just sitting and talking, and that's it. But then you get to a show like House of Dragons, where literally all they're doing is like talking this episode. I'm like, I cannot get enough of it. I'm like, they have done the work building these characters up, creating interesting, compelling characters that have like real conflict naturally because of the way the story builds. And you just want to sit there and watch it. Like you want to be, you're engrossed in it. Like House of the Dragons is by far the best show on TV right now. Like by leaps and bounds. It's crazy how much better the writing is in the show than any of the other shows we're watching.
Alex, how far are you in Game of Thrones now? Are you still watching it?
We finished it last night, like near midnight.
Finished the whole show.
Yep, we finished the whole show.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, just before we go into House of the Dragon, tell me what did you think of season 8 of the show?
I don't want to talk about it. I hate it. Like it just the last two, like the season 7 was all right.
It was okay, yeah. But you could see it slipping. It was going down. The
decline was so bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that they turned like a 10 episode series into 6 episodes, especially for the last fucking season.
I know, bro. Imagine how we felt when we thought that was it forever. We thought that was it, like it was done, never to be seen again. And it was like, what? How did they do this to us?
Right. And I don't know, like I don't know if they had a different director. I don't know if like I know that it's because they didn't really have much story left to work with because George R. Martin didn't finish the books like for the series. It's still one of those moments where, like, can you stop with the slow motion? Can you stop? Can you stop? Like we know, we get it. The town's being destroyed. We get it. The castle's being destroyed. Fuck it, speed it up. Like we're done. It's over. Like we're like, I get it. But even then, I gotta say, Daenerys is the most 180 character I've ever seen in my entire life, and I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And I say that strongly. I hated Daenerys at the very end when I shouldn't have. This series did not intend for Daenerys to be hated for any reason. Like the character, if she turned like even if you have her turn a little bit and get a bit angry and she's like a little hot-headed, we didn't really see that over on the eastern side of the world. Like I get it, we're on the western side and things are different and there's different customs and different traditions and whatnot, but like that doesn't mean that you can't learn from it. And they literally season 7 and 8 are like, Daenerys doesn't learn shit anymore. She doesn't care. I get that she's tired, but she needs to care. And
well, that's exactly what happened IRL. Like the guys who were running the show just didn't care. Let's get it over and done with. Let's move on. I think, did they have a promise that they were going to go into the MCU or something like that? Or was it Star Wars? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So like these dudes like were like, shit, we got to wrap this up because like, this show's going down as one of the best shows ever made. We're getting like set up for life now. We're going to move on to Star Wars and it's going to be great. And then they just flopped it so much. I don't even think they went to Star Wars in the end, did they? Like they had like,
no, they got such bad press.
They burnt themselves from it. Like they literally tried to do a throwaway and just get it over with. And in doing that, they ruined their own careers. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane, dude.
And you don't do that. Like it's like with football. It's like with anything. Like you don't showboat before you fucking pass the finish line.
Game of Thrones will go down in history as probably one of like the worst endings ever. Like those last 2 seasons stopped that show from probably being the most successful show ever made.
Wait,
you
didn't like Arya Stark being the one that killed the Night King when she just met him for the first time and had no history with him?
And she just like jumps up behind him and stabs him, and it's over in 2 seconds. And I was like, hang on a second, we've been waiting 9 years to watch the Night King, and it's like he's just dead in one little swipe of a sword. I couldn't believe it, bro.
Like, doesn't even meet Jon Snow at all. Like, what?
Oh, bro,
Like, what?
like it was wild. Like, it was absolutely wild, and I can't wait for my mate to come on the show who was involved in the making of it, because I'd love to see like how the like production of the show was going when all this was happening. Like, I'd love to know what the vibes on set were like, so we can ask him all this. I'm glad you're finished now, because when we get him on, it'll be interesting to see what he thinks. Like, because I'm sure he'll be able to tell us a few funny stories too.
We're gonna make sure you never work on a Game of Thrones again.
well, and Huffman, I wanted to tack on that. Like I honestly didn't mind Arya doing it, because I thought she was a badass for like the longest time, and I think her finishing him off was cool. But like, I agree with you, it was the weirdest quick death I've ever seen. That shouldn't have happened. Like. And I got to say, those generals behind him, you could have cut them from the scene, and it still wouldn't have helped. Like they didn't matter. Why do you have generals if you can't destroy them? If you have to only kill the Night King? Like, the point of the deal was like, yes, we kill the Night King, it kills everyone. But why are there generals? Like, why are there like you if you kill them, you kill off a section, right? They could have had the scene where like he killed off all the generals. And they're like, okay, well, now we can go after the Night King. And then the Night King comes down, and then he raises everyone up. He's like, I don't need it. I don't need generals anymore. Like, I can raise everyone up that just died. And that would make it more impactful in that run. Like, they could have lengthened this whole situation.
Sure. And the biggest problem with Arya killing it is not that she wasn't a badass, because she totally was, like, one of the best characters in the whole show. But the person they give her to kill is the Night King, who, that's not her story. That's not her story. That's not her villain. She's not connected to it at all. That's all Jon Snow. It should have been him. He is a Sword of High. Like, he's the fucking chosen one. Like, he just is. Sorry. Like, that's how it is. What Arya Stark, they robbed her of her revenge on like Cersei, on Jaime.
Yes.
She should have killed all those motherfuckers in King Landing. But they had her killing the Night King. Like, it's so dumb, dude. Like, she killed all the Lannisters. That should have been her, man. And so she didn't get to do that. So not only do I think they, took this great moment for Jon away, they also took a great moment for Arya away, where she like really, takes her family's what the Starks went through and brings it full circle for them, and gives a satisfying ending to that. Because it was horrible, dude. Horrible.
Was it season 6 where she got her revenge for the Red Wedding stuff?
Yes, with Walder Frey.
That was the end of her good story. I think that was it. Was after that, and again, season 6 was incredible. Like the whole Battle of the Bastards and all. That was the end of the show for me. I think if I'm going to rewatch it, which I do plan to do, I'll stop at season 6. So Battle of the Bastards will be the last thing that I watch. I think, like, because it's just that was the peak of the show, and then it just died. It died hard, bro.
And I gotta say, man, like this is the most like what does shoehorn mean again? I can't remember, but like it's basically that's the word I want to use for people that are in
just so they fit barely, but they shouldn't.
Everyone in this world was shoved into one spot. Everyone and I hated it. Like sometimes they can't make it, and you have to make that a thing. And that was the whole idea behind Game of Thrones. Is that sometimes people can't make it to things, and that's why they weren't able to help, and that's why they lost. Like that's the whole point of Game of Thrones. It's like sometimes forces can't be there, and you lose, and that's it. And I have to say with Daenerys, like Daenerys burning down like the Red Keep, burning down like all of like that section. I can't remember what the whole place is called, but like. That was like even bigger, like an even bigger 180. Like she heard the bells. I get it. She was like angry and whatnot, because Alessandra was dead. But you don't kill she never killed innocents.
Yeah.
She never killed any innocent people, like intentionally. Like it's
okay.
like it was but that's the thing is like
I'll say this in the books, Daenerys is still in Meereen in the West. I'm sorry, in the East. And she is having a legitimate descent into madness where she's like shirking her morals. She's doing stuff like she's betraying who she is. And so I think in the book, she's going to end up being that where she ends up in the show, but they just didn't have enough time in the show because they wanted to get out and go make Star Wars, because she does end up becoming the Mad Queen. Like that is a story where you think she's going to be this heroic figure who comes and saves Westeros and liberates all these people. and through her best intention, she becomes the Mad Queen and is like a fucking horrible person.
Right. And hell, I can accept that if you had done it that way.
Right.
If you had shown it before the traveling, before the moment she gets to Dragonstone, we need the hint. I don't care if it wasn't a full-on story. We need the hint that she is getting a little crazy.
Yeah.
We need that hint because we didn't have the hint.
It was as if, like, if I'm remembering correctly, again, I want to forget all this, but it was as if, like, you know, she was like freeing slaves, and you know, she was like the savior of the East, and then like they set sail to go to the West, and by the time they get there, she's just changed her mind. It's like, let's fucking kill everyone. Like, you know what it's like? Yeah. Did the sea driver bad? Like, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Like, not for nothing, she's fucking her cousin John. You know, that's a little crazy.
She didn't know. They didn't know until he was told.
Oh, they knew. They could feel it.
I still
they could feel it.
But they definitely wanted to keep going as well after finding out, though, right?
Yeah.
There was no like, oh shit, we made a mistake, let's stop. Like, you know, it was definitely, they definitely wanted to keep it going. Yeah, dude, I don't know. And then the whole John being like Aegon Targaryen, like, and you're just like, that has to have some like really like central meaning by the end of the show. I thought he was gonna get like blown up by the dragon, and then he like just walks out of the flames like Terminator, like, and I was just like, holy shit, it's like he's the king. You know, that's the way. Cool. That's what should have been. Like, it should have been that, but then,
bro, the whole book series is named after him. He is the Song of Ice and Fire.
Ice and Fire.
It's him. And like they just fucking do nothing with them in the show, man.
Nah, dude, it's insane. It's insane. Anyway, to go back to talking about something good, let's talk about House of the Dragon, because I can't talk about that anymore. I'm sorry.
I could go on forever.
We'll do a deep dive on Game of Thrones when Eric's on the cast, like, definitely for sure. But no, yeah, House of the Dragon 5 and 6, because I know we didn't do the cast last week. So, what do we think, Hoff? I want your opinions first, because I know you're the biggest sweaty out of a lot of us.
I am so enthralled and loving every bit of the show. I think they are doing all the political intrigue. I'm having a little bit of trouble remembering episode 5 as fully as I do episode 6, right? But you know, the way they left. Oh, episode 6 or 5 was the one where she like kind of had sex with her cousin, right? Or didn't have sex with Daemon.
Episode 5 was the wedding, right? That was where.
Oh, yes, the wedding. Yeah.
It was the last episode with the young actors, and then this was 6 was the first new episode with where they did the time hop 10 years.
Yes. Game of Thrones or a Game of Thrones show cannot have a wedding without a brutal murder. And this like that was such a good scene. There's so much tension in that whole room, the back and forth, how everyone's moving, and then the way like it just culminates at the end with the Kingsguard Knight just beating the shit out of Joffrey.
Caving the head in.
Just boo, man. Felt good to see that again. You know?
Oh yeah. And then the queen walking in wearing green, like to kind of insinuate like, you know, civil war or whatever. Like, it's just like, oh shit, here we go. I thought that would have led to something more in the next episode, but I think, like, you know, we're 10 years in the future by the time it comes to season 6 or episode 6, sorry. And then it's like, you know, has anything really happened there? It's like she's still kind of just like scheming in the background and trying to help her kids and stuff. But I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. Like,
so episode 5, really great. And then I think episode 6 might be one of my favorite episodes of the season. There wasn't like much in terms of like action, right? Like we have a little bit of sword fighting going on. But I think that they really established all these new characters. The opening scene of her giving birth and then walking up to the queen's room, like the way they filmed that, and it's like one shot. It's like one steady shot the whole time. They maybe do like 1 or 2 cuts, but you're with her that whole time, and you feel how intimate that moment is. And like she's vulnerable, but she's trying to be strong. The actress is knocking out of the park. I feel like all the actors and actresses that replaced the younger selves were nothing but improvements. I'm engrossed with all of them.
They were cast first, and then they cast the younger ones to match them. So yeah,
fantastic job, man. They were all just outstanding. I was nervous about them all getting swapped out.
Yeah.
But I was actually really blown away by how much these actors and actresses felt more like their parts and like fully inhabited the characters instantly. Like I'm a fan of the Queen. You know, as fucked up as it is, I'm kind of a fan of the Queen. You're not supposed to root for her, but like she's like, hey man, like they're not like real kids. They're not like the real, you know,
heirs. They're not the true heirs. Yeah.
What the fuck's going on?
my favorite line is where she turns to the husband. It's like, oh, maybe the next one might look like you a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like, oh yes, let's go. But like, I gotta say, right, and I understand that he's gay and she's fucking other people. That's fair enough. That's fine. But like, come on, like, throw a few into her, get her pregnant, have some actual heirs. Do you know what I mean? You fuck it, go fuck your boyfriend or whatever you want to do, and then just before lash it into the queen, have a few fucking kids that are legitimate. Like, do you know what I mean? It makes no sense. And then you don't have all of this shit, like everyone in Westeros talking like these are clearly not their kids. Like, like the dude's like brown, like she's pale as like thing, and they're having white kids with brown hair. I'm like, this is so blatantly obvious that they're not her kids. Like, it's fucking ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous, dude.
Maybe they tried. Maybe they tried.
I don't know, bro. Like, try harder. You know what I mean? Like, in these times, you have to know that like doing what they're doing is putting the entire family at risk. Like, no matter who they are, like, the second the king dies, like, it's civil war. Like, they're gonna try and wipe each other out. Like, and it's just so blatantly obvious. Whereas if they were actual heirs, maybe then it would be legitimate. Like, it would be a legitimate person taking the throne after, rather than like bastards jumping on the throne. Like, everyone no one's gonna fall. No one's gonna take it.
Right.
It's just it's stupid to me.
Well, and then you could see that Rhaenyra actually gets a little fearful because she's like, I'll offer you one of my kids and we'll give you an egg. Just let's let bygones be bygones. And she's like, we'll consider it.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit. Yeah. She's not giving up shit. Like,
what do you think of the whole Daemon story in episode 6? Like, I didn't expect to see him kind of with a whole family and stuff like that. That kind of took like a bit of a mad turn for me. Like, because like obviously it's implied throughout the first 5 episodes that like he can't even get it up. Like, but then he's got a full family, so it's like, I don't know. Maybe it just took the right woman.
I mean, I'm happy for him to be able to get
took a relative. That's all he needed.
That's all it took. Yeah.
I love the David storyline. I think Matt Smith he's the best actor on the show. I hope he gets every award this season for whatever role he's playing, because every time he's on screen, I'm drawn in. I want to watch him. I want to see more of Daemon, his reactions. He's an absolute fucking badass of a character. And I can't wait to see what he does next episode. He's coming back to Westeros. He's been over in the East a little bit, messing around, for a handful of years, and he's going to come back and see what's up. Westeros, he's going to come back to his princess or his niece. She's in trouble. And like, I think he's just going to go and wreak havoc all over Westeros. Like, I'm so ready for their story.
A part of me thinks that maybe he's going to try to like instill like maybe get a child with Rhaenyra, just so that they have one that looks like a Targaryen. I think that would be the one true heir in a sense. And I agree with you, Hoffman. Like, Matt Smith has been doing like crazy well. I can't remember the actor's name, but the dude who plays Viserys, like, he has been just killing it too. Like, he's been fantastic, and he still acts like himself even after 10 years. Yeah, and it's awesome. And I love that dude. And I love the chemistry between him and Matt Smith as Daemon. Like, I love them when they both talk, because Daemon doesn't give a shit. And Viserys is like, you need to give a shit.
So just to kind of like, I know we don't like, ratings aren't the most important thing in the world, but it's just interesting to see. So episode 5 got a 9 out of 10 on IMDb, like for the episode rating, with 32,000 votes. Episode 6, which I actually probably enjoyed more than episode 5, only got an 8.2, which obviously is still an incredible score. But this week's episode, so episode 7, which is airing tonight, as we record this on a Sunday, the episode is going to air tonight. For some reason, I don't know how, but 934 people have seen it and they've reviewed it already. So this episode, episode 7, 9.7, almost a perfect episode. So
the leaks are out
tonight. Tonight's episode is going to be fire by the sounds of it. And the final episode, the name of it is up here on IMDb. The Black Queen, it's called. That's what the finale is going to be called.
That's cool, man.
Interesting.
It's the best show on TV right now. Every bit of it is. I think it surpasses Game of Thrones in a many ways. It's going to take the long run. I know they said they think they got like 4 or 5 seasons planned for the show that they could do. And we'll see how much better it gets. But I think if you compare this season so far, it stacks up better than probably most of Game of Thrones seasons.
Yeah, definitely the first few. Like I think it took Game of Thrones so long to get like to this epic level. It took like seasons to get there. Whereas now they could just go out the gate like straight into it. Like, they're talking the whole scheme and the Game of Thrones whole thing is happening in episode 1 of this show. So, and we're seeing dragons flying around and shit like in episode 1. Whereas like I think it took us 5 seasons to see a dragon like in Game of Thrones. So it's just action packed from the get go, and that's what you need. Like, there's no need to be building these stories slowly when it comes to this. What do you think as well of like season 2, like potential like Henry Cavill and Elizabeth Olsen are potentially going to come in like for that? Like that would like, because the way the show's going, like each episode is, in my opinion, is getting better. So it's on like, while maybe like the Lord of the Rings is on a decline, this show's on an incline. It's just getting better and better each week. Like if they can end this on like an absolute high and then go into a second season and they've got some like A-lister actors and all, this show's gonna fucking go like to the moon. Like it's gonna be incredible. Like it already is, but it's gonna just it could turn out to be better than Game of Thrones by the end.
Sure. The only thing I think the show is missing right now is the expansive use of houses. All really get is like these Valyrian houses. Like the Targaryens and I forget the Sea Serpent's house. But I want more houses. I want more houses involved in everything. And I think if they bring in like Henry Cavill and Elizabeth Olsen to like open up those different houses and bring in these like other great characters from different families, I think that's the only thing missing in this show. And I think this show 100% has a possibility of surpassing Game of Thrones as a more beloved series.
Well, that's good, because I mean, like, thinking about those last 2 seasons, I was like, why the fuck is Ed Sheeran here?
So I forgot he was in it. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Like I remember Katie told me, she's like, Ed Sheeran's in one of the seasons. I'm like, which one? It's like, oh, we're coming up to it. And he's just sitting there singing, and I'm like,
oh, no, dude.
What is the point? Like you see him for a second.
They actually had the dude who played Eddie Munson in Stranger Things, the way he kind of took over the internet at the start of the year. He was in season 7 of the show. He has a pretty, like, I think he's only in 1 episode, but I think he's like one of the Stark's kind of guards in Winterfell or something like that in one of the last seasons. But he's one of the dudes who refuses Arya Stark entry when she kind of comes back. And when Arya's like, I'm Cersei, or whatever her name is, Cersei, I'm her sister. Go. So if you want to be the one to say that you refuse me entry at the gate, by all means. And then they're like, oh shit, come on in. Like, he's one of those. He's one of those too, but he wasn't a big actor at the time. Like,
he was trying to do us all a favor and save that kill for John.
Oh my God.
Did you guys see there was like a table reading that was recorded when they first got the script for season 8 and the end of how the show was going to end? And there's a clip of like Kit Harington, Jon Snow, like with his hands in his head like this, and he's just reading the last episode, and he's just disgusted, like he just can't believe what he's reading. And as well with your one, what's her name, who plays Daenerys, like she's looking at the
Emilia
script.
Clarke.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke. She's looking at the script, like, and her jaw's nearly on the floor, like they can't believe what they're reading. Like it's just absolutely terrible. It's a great clip. It's a great clip, yeah.
And hopefully now, like with House of the Dragon, they could see like the error of their ways and be like, holy shit, we really fucked up those last 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hoffman, if you're correct about the whole 4 or 5 seasons in for House of the Dragon, I mean, they've got 200 years to span out. Well, 190 now, but I mean, that'd be great. I'd love to see it all leading all the way up to at the very beginning of Game of Thrones, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be really cool.
Ooh, if we got to see Robert's Rebellion,
yes, that would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
We get to see Rhaegar.
It would be cool to kind of like wrap up that show and then kind of like tie it into the beginning of Game of Thrones, like, and it'd be just such a kind of nice like segue to go back into a rewatch then once you're finished it, like of watching the first 6 seasons and no more after that. Yeah, but then there's a Jon Snow show coming as well after, which is set after season 8. So
can't wait.
I still don't understand why he's in exile. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
He did what he was asked to do.
Yeah, dude. Again, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I know.
Are you guys caught up on Andor? the 4
Gotta
episodes.
believe it, baby.
Yeah, pretty
4
caught up.
episodes in.
So, obviously last week we didn't have a cast, but I was talking to you briefly about it, Hoffman, and I know you were a big fan of the first 3 episodes. I was not a fan of the first 3 episodes, so I think this is going to be a pretty interesting argument or discussion, or chat.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, look, I don't know, Alex, you've seen all 4 as well, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel confused about what the hell's going on.
It's
To be
understandable.
completely honest.
It's kind of understandable in a way, and I think the reason why you're probably lost is part of the reason why I'm not really enjoying the show, which is due to the fact that for the first 3 episodes anyway, I think there hasn't been much kind of connecting it to the Star Wars universe. There's like zero mention of the Empire. You don't see a stormtrooper. There's nothing going on. You're kind of introduced to all these new characters who we met in a movie that was about the rebellion, but there's no rebellion talked about, at least in the first 2 episodes. You know, the first episode felt like Blade Runner. Like the show starts out and we're in a brothel, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, there's brothels in Star Wars now. I'm like, what the hell's happening here? And then, episode 1 was slow. I thought episode 2 was worse, and it was shorter. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this? I was sitting on the couch watching it with my girlfriend. She fell asleep at the start of episode 2. And she woke up at the end of episode 2. Was like, what did I miss? And I was like, nothing. She's like, was that episode better than the first one? I said, no. And she's like, okay. I was like, okay. She's like, fine. Then I watched episode 3. And episode 3, when they introduced the Skarsgård actor, the father, I can't think of his first name. He's the best part of the series for me. Like, he's brilliant. He's a fantastic actor. And again, he's bringing Andor into the rebellion. It's like, fight for something. Like, do you want to actually do something that's relevant? And now I'm like, okay, at least now he's about to be recruited into the rebellion. Here we go. We meet Moth Mothma then in episode 4. I'm like, okay, this is great. We're in Coruscant, like, which is again for the first time since episode 3. And you're like, okay, yes, nice. Here we go. This is Star Wars now. So for me, it took a little longer than I wanted it to build up. Like, the first 2 episodes, I just didn't feel like anything was happening, and it had no kind of connection to Star Wars at all. Like, if we saw a glimpse of the Senate or anything like that in the first 2 episodes, I would have been at least a little more interested. It just didn't feel like anything. And I was kind of thinking to myself, if this was a brand new show that was building a brand new universe, I would probably be interested in those episodes to kind of follow Andor and see what all this is about. Like, what's he fighting for? Obviously, there's some sort of rebellion happening, or something's coming. He's robbing tech and all this stuff, and whatever they're trying to build their own little army or whatever. Fair enough. But it was just, for me, it just, I don't know. I didn't like it at all. Did not like it at all. But episode 4 was pretty good.
See, I feel like the first 2 episodes probably didn't need to be separate episodes. They for sure were a little slow. They felt a little bloated, but I really felt like they were a good prologue to the show. Like, episode 3 really feels like the start of the show to me. And the first 2 episodes kind of set up Cassian Andor as a character. You see a lot of his backstory. You see where a lot of his, I think, payoff is going to be in the future for like why he is the way he is and who he is, come from the first 2 episodes. And they really establish this universe in Star Wars that we never get to see. We don't ever get to see stuff outside of like the stuff that we've seen on screen, like the Tatooine and the Coruscant and like these main places. And all I've ever heard from Star Wars fans, my entire Star Wars life, has been, oh, I wish we just got to see other parts of the galaxy, other sides to the thing. And then we see it, and everyone's like, this isn't fucking Star Wars. We've never been here before. What is this? So I get frustrated when I hear that stuff. But I think that the first 2 episodes and the slow build gave me one of like the biggest payoffs in episode 3. The end of episode 3 is one of my favorite TV moments I've ever experienced. It was a culmination of all those 3 episodes, everything that they showed you on who Andor was coming up as a child, all the different sides of the kind of ground level impact of the Empire that you don't normally get to see. All of that stuff just kind of like came together at the end of episode 3 for the last 20 or 30 minutes of it. And it was just, I thought it was remarkable. I thought the music was amazing. I thought the characters were fantastic. The way their stories kind of built, you seeing these people build into a rebellion. A rebellion doesn't just start because like one guy's like, I want to start a rebellion. It's these little tiny moments that people have where they witness what's going on and it's like enough is enough. They're getting rubbed raw for too long. The Empire is just doing them wrong, and by the security forces are an extension of the Empire, and they're just so tired of it. And I think that they were trying to establish this idea of the rebellion building for this long, and like, hey, these are deep rooted problems and that people have been having for a while, so that when the rebellion does start to kick in the gear, like in episode 4, and we start to see these lines being drawn, you know where they come from. This is not a surprise. They actually anchored it in this new Star Wars universe.
Dude, yeah, I don't have much else to say.
I love it, bro. I'm so on board with the show, dude. I'm loving it.
I'm liking it more now. Like what really pissed me off in the first, like the premiere night, because I watched all 3 episodes one after the other. I was like, I have to. And what really annoyed me was the best scene from the first 3 episodes was a 9-minute clip that they released on Disney Plus Day on Disney. Like, and I watched it like a week before the show came out. So I'm like, and actually I was watching it and I got about 4 minutes into the clip, and it's just Skarsgård and Andor talking to each other, and like, it's the whole kind of speech of him getting recruited into the rebellion. And I actually like watched like 3 minutes of it. I was like, this actually looks amazing, great, turn it off. I don't want to see anymore, because I don't want to be sitting through that episode and say, shit, I've watched like there's 9 minutes of footage right now that I've seen. It would have pissed me off. But then what really pissed me off was when I actually got to this stage in that episode. So I'm like, whatever that was, like an hour and 20 minutes of footage. And I'm like, this is the best piece of content that we've got this week from Star Wars. And they released it on Disney Plus Day. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to be.
Well, that is frustrating, but I would argue that that's not the best part of the episode. But I do agree it's aggravating when they show you that much of a show. But even watching it for a second time, I was still completely engrossed. Skarsgård was amazing in that scene. Him and Cassian Andor, like the way they were playing off each other. Once you got context for why they were there and what was really going on, I feel like that context made the scene even better and made the tension feel a little bit more high. Seeing that, how Cassian can't really trust anybody, and you see why he can't trust anybody from the first couple of episodes. And then, seeing that where he came from, being rescued by that family, and then that leading up in there, it just, I felt really good about that scene.
Mm-hmm. I liked the rescue and the fact that they brought him to the planet and stuff. I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't really feeling like the guards that came to the planet, like when they got there, they're like meant to be an extension of the Empire. And these guys like can barely hold their own guns. Like, I'm surprised they weren't shooting themselves in the feet and stuff. They were so like ridiculously untrained and just stupid. And that kind of pissed me off, because like, I'm like, we don't have the Empire here. Like, these aren't, and I know stormtroopers can't shoot for shit either, but at least they're the Empire. You know what I mean? Like, these guys were just terrible. And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of lackluster for me. The best part was obviously when they kind of deceived them at the very end and the 2 of them escaped. Mm-hmm. That was cool, and they brought in the speedster, the speeder mobiles from like episode 6. Mm-hmm. I got a real kind of Return of the Jedi vibe from episode 4, because I think there was like those speeders were in it, and there was something else in the episode that reminded me of episode 6 as well. I can't remember what it is now, but I was just like, shit, there's like really Return of the Jedi vibes off this episode, which I loved. But again, I don't know. Like, I think that this week is definitely the first episode that I've enjoyed.
Mm.
When it came to the security team, I thought that was like a really organic kind of group of people handling the situation, because I mean, yeah, you have the Empire, you have the stormtroopers, and yes, they have a hard time like aiming and firing at the correct person. But like, the security team really felt like a slug group. Like they just they were the bottom of the barrel, but they were still trying to figure shit out together. And it felt fluid, and I kind of like that, because like I like stormtroopers, but I like knowing what else is within like the world, like in terms of like what sectors and what groups are, like organizations and such, and it was cool to see all that. And for the people that are naysayers of like, oh, we don't need this new stuff for Star Wars, it's like, it's cool, it's cool to see new areas, new zones and whatnot, and I really enjoyed that.
Like, I like seeing new planets, but again, it just felt so lackluster. That's the only thing.
The main thing for the security forces for me is it shows a side of society that goes along with like oppressors. And because they can get a little bit of power and get a little bit ahead of other people in like their class, they go along with inflicting this, punishment and this, overarching government of brutal violence on these people, because it puts them ahead. And I think the reason they really put them in is because of the main security, or not the main security guard, but the one that we kind of always like have a lingering shot on. And it's kind of like he's starting to see that, like, hey, like the empire isn't right. Like, why am I on this side of it when they're doing this to these people, when they're trying to oppress these people? And so I really like that they were kind of exploring that idea and showing him, and like you can kind of like see the gears turning in his head, especially when like he goes back to his mom, and he's living in the slum. His mom lives in like the slums in the lower parts of whatchamacallit. Why can't I think of this? Corellian, whatever. The main capital planet of Star Wars. Coruscant. And so it shows that like he is one of like the low people, but he signed up to like be part of the security guards because like he gets a little bit extra. He can be in charge. He can be over these people, and he starts to see like the error of his ways. And I thought that was a great little exploration of that, because like they do suck. They don't know what they're doing. They can't shoot. They can't hold security. They just want this job, so they're not the workers who are out in the fields harvesting ships.
Well, and then they also. Yeah, and they also show like how the higher ups don't give a shit about little things, even though it probably matters.
For sure.
And that's one of the coolest things about like shows like this, is that why, like, you ask that question, how the hell did they escape? How the hell did they get out? Why weren't they caught? Because you have these kind of people that think it's nothing. And they actually showed that, and I love that. But then you get that one guy who's like, no, this seems serious. I want to investigate this. And I love that.
Did you see the Star Killer Easter egg in episode 4?
Ooh, no, what was it?
So, do you know the bit where they go into like the antique shop? I was like looking around that scene for like lightsaber hilts and stuff like that, because I thought like, definitely there's going to be like something cool there, like from obviously the purge of the Jedi Temple and stuff. But there's actually, I don't know if you guys played the Force Unleashed games back in the day.
Yeah.
So there was a version of the first game. There was like a deluxe pack or something that was like called the Sith Edition or something like that. And there's an extra like DLC at the very end where Starkiller actually gets found out to be alive by Palpatine, and Palpatine actually like turns him into a Sith like warrior or whatever, and he's wearing this cool mask and stuff. If you literally Google Starkiller Andor, you and go to images, like you'll see the thing I'm talking about. But basically, they had this like he had this like crazy helmet on and this suit, but basically this suit is hanging up in that scene in the background. So I think you can probably see it straight away. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool thing. Like, because what's really cool is that in Legends, Starkiller is alive at this time in the timeline. So like, I know he doesn't exist in canon anymore, but this is actually his time. This is the time when Vader would have been training him and stuff like that, which I thought it was very cool that they put his helmet and his suit into that scene.
Do you think Skarsgård is a Starkiller?
Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
I love him being like the kind of antiques dealer or whatever, how he kind of like shifted into a whole other character. I love that scene on his ship where he's putting on his jewelry and his robes. And he has that like little moment where he's like playing the character in the mirror just to make sure he's got it. You know? It was such a little like intimate moment. I loved it, man.
That was great. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And like, I loved seeing like the Senate and stuff like that. Like that just brings me straight back into it. Like, it's just great. Because like, you got to think like the time that we're in right now is like prime, empire and stuff like that. So I'm curious, like, are we going to see Palpatine? Are we going to see Vader? Are we going to see like, Alderaan and an older Leia and all that sort of stuff? Like, I think like a lot of stuff could happen. I think the fact that they've already kind of confirmed the show is going to be at least 2 seasons. I think they've already started shooting the second season. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of big shit coming. So I think like, yes, it was in my opinion, a really poor start, but I think it's going to ramp up to be something very important. And then of course, like when the show ends, I presume it's going to lead straight into the movie, and then we know where that goes, So yeah, I've got high hopes for it, but I was very disappointed with the first 2 episodes.
I'm sorry.
I know. I wish I want nothing more than to be loving all this stuff, but I just keep thinking to myself, like, fuck man, Disney Plus just keep letting us down. Like, it's just all these shows Like Obi-Wan was like hard to watch. Boba Fett was harder to watch. You know, obviously like a lot of the Marvel shows have been really bad. Miss Marvel's terrible. Like, you know, there's a lot of bad shit coming out right now. And I feel like it's Disney Plus that's putting out all this really bad content. Like, it's kind of scaring me. It's kind of scaring me for the future.
For me, I'm actually kind of glad that the only show that I thought that had a good amount of weight was Moon Knight. I don't think we really had too many downsides to it. The only thing maybe is the Jake Lockley kind of situation. But other than that, like, I feel like that was kind of our winner for the year so far.
I think, like, if you were going to try and rank all the stuff, like, I think Loki to me is probably one of the best shows that we got.
I'm walking off this fucking podcast, bro. You cannot say all that shit and then say Loki is your favorite. That is horseshit.
No, I'm just saying Loki was one of the best ones out of it.
Oh my god!
But how?
It really was.
Like,
just because it actually has connective tissue to what's coming. Like, it's the introduction of Kang. It's Loki, like, season 2 is going to lead directly into, like, Ant-Man. Like, it's important. Like, no one gives a fuck about Miss Marvel. It doesn't connect to anything right now. Like, Hawkeye was just, it was fun, but it was irrelevant. Like, do you know what I mean? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, awful. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just...
No, dude, go rewatch that show. Falcon and Winter Soldier was fantastic. Like,
Oh,
when we
bro,
watched it was
it
so
actually
much better.
was really good.
It's
man.
good, dude. And that has more connective tissue than Loki, dude. Because they're going to have Captain America 4 starring who? Sam Wilson with his new suit and his new shield. And then he's got Bucky in it. And then there's going to be Zemo. Zemo set up the whole Thunderbolts thing. Okay? Like, do not diss. U.S. agent in the Thunderbolts is introducing Captain. Get out of here with this Loki nonsense. Like, there's so much more in Captain America than Loki.
I don't know. We'll agree to disagree here.
We're going to agree that I'm right. I got like 4 more hours of my night. I'm not going anywhere.
I'll rewatch Falcon and the Winter Soldier just for you.
All right, thank you.
I won't hold my breath.
I don't think Hoffman's angry. I think he's just disappointed.
Yeah. How dare you?
I'm mad how disappointed I am.
Yeah, man. I there's no arguing here. The Disney Plus have definitely had far more fails than wins.
Sure.
Since the launching of all these shows. Like, that can't be debated. Like, you know, that can't be debated. Like, the fact that some dude came out and made an edit for Obi-Wan into like a 2.5 hour movie, and that was fantastic, and the show was shit. Like, it's like, that should tell them everything they need to know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's shocking. It really is.
Look at Andor and how atmospheric and cinematic Andor feels compared to Obi-Wan. It feels like a different class of show already, man.
The fact that they were shooting on site, like, you know, where Andor in episode 4 is being walked to the camp and they're actually like scaling mountains and stuff. I'm like, yes, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because they're shooting that in the UK and they're obviously just going on site to places and actually, you know, the volume isn't used here. Like, you know, I think maybe it might be for a couple of bits, but they're out in the world. Like, you know, they're really shooting shit. Like, and that's obviously always going to look better on camera.
Yeah,
you know, and they could do it so cheap now. You know what I mean? You get a drone, like a 4K drone, just to kind of span over like a mountain range or something like that. That's always going to be special. Like, you know, it's going to look great. And hearing the TIE fighter coming shooting across, I was like, oh my god, yes! I was like, here we go, baby. I was so excited for that. Like, so yeah, episode 4 was fucking great. Episode 4 was really, really on the right track. I just thought, with how good Rogue One is, I was like, I thought every episode would be like kind of that vibe, but the first 2 weren't. But yeah, look, we'll see this week. Hopefully, when we get episode 5, I think we'll be like kind of halfway through the season now with episode 5, and I think hopefully that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Although, is it 12? Is it 12 episodes? I think it's 12.
In Andor?
Yeah, I think Andor is going to be 12. I'm not 100%
over
sure
13, I think.
13.
I could have sworn it was a lot, like, compared to everything else.
I think it's 12. I don't know if one of you want to double check that, but
is this why they had to cut She-Hulk by 1 episode?
Cut the whole series. No one cares about She-Hulk. It's terrible.
Yeah, She-Hulk
so sad,
She-Hulk needs the last 2 episodes to be like the best shit that Disney Plus has ever put out, like, for them to justify all this money.
Yeah,
like,
they need to be mind blowers.
They really do. 12, yeah, I thought so. They really do. Like, and even like I noticed in the latest episode of She-Hulk, like they're actually panning the camera and then she's like changing into She-Hulk and then they pan it back. So like they're like trying to save money on all the CGI.
So goddamn annoyed with that. Like
It's
really,
so
like
annoying, dude.
they put all their money on the first few episodes and then it just trickles by the end and there's nothing left.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the only reason why she's not She-Hulk all the time, and it's blatantly obvious, is because they don't want to put that much work into the show. That's the only reason why she's actually Jen more than she is She-Hulk, because it's like we can't afford to have She-Hulk on the screen all the time. That's sad. It's sad, but that's the reality.
Well, and then like I kind of get why, because you know they paid 15 million to the lady, so like you gotta use her.
I prefer to see her as She-Hulk, to be honest.
I
think
do too.
She-Hulk looks amazing. Like she's fucking like she looks incredible, I think. And I actually prefer to just sit there and watch her acting as She-Hulk, like doing the mocap with the face and stuff and her voice. I prefer that than watching her be Jen, really, to be honest.
Tatiana is great. And she's doing great for the voice acting and for the CGI as well. Like, so just let her be Hulk.
She just looks so much better. And like, I don't know. I just feel like so much more comfortable watching her as Hulk on the screen. I don't get it. Like she comes across so awkward when she's Jen. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I can feel the awkwardness, like of her just kind of walking around.
That's technically the point, but even then, it's a little too awkward now. So
yeah. Oh, guys, I don't know. We're live an hour and 40. It's been a long one. It's been a good one. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we head off for the week?
I think I'm good. I think we wrapped it all up.
Yep. So. Just that I won't be here next week. So
yeah,
you two have fun.
Miss you.
How dare you leave us,
buddy. My little zebra wolf.
Guys, if you're listening to us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop a like on the video. If you're watching us on a replay as well, maybe leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, hit them noti bells and follow the channel. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Later.